Well, good afternoon, West Ham fans. Let's talk about the penultimate David Moyes press conference, shall we? Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. So, just finished David Moyes' press conference, the penultimate David Moyes press conference as West Ham manager as we take on Luton Town at the London Stadium tomorrow in what will be the last dance, the last home dance for David Moyes as West Ham manager. Now, obviously, lots of questions about, if he was happy and, in terms of all that. We'll concentrate on that in a minute. Let's concentrate about tomorrow because we've still got a game to win and we still got some points we can get on the board for sure. It's Hammers Headlines in association with the KUMB.com boys. And as always, we take the David Moyes press conference and use that as Friday's bit, so to speak. So let's crack on straight away and talk about the... if I press the right button, there we go. In terms of team news, Lucas Paqueta seems okay. He's been trained all week, but unfortunately we don't have Dino or Naif back. So it seems like it's going to be an Agbona-Zuma partnership once again. So we'll see how that gets on. Asked about Luton Town. He says Rob Edwards has done a brilliant job. To be a young manager and navigate the Premier League is really tough. He's got his team in with a chance of survival, and it's up to us to take that away from them. You cruel man, David Moyes, taking it for the grasp. That survival away from them, but I like it. We get this fight right at the end. In terms of his expectations of the players tomorrow, I've told them what I expect, and that we're aware. We're all looking forward to the game. And hopefully we can sign off the season at home in the right way. And that right way is with a victory of... Anyway, well, I've done that. That's what I'm going to do. He was then asked about, obviously, everything else about the whole departure. And, the fact is his last home game as West Ham manager. And he was in reflective mood, as you could imagine. Asked about that specifically being the last home game, he says, I was hoping we'd be fighting for Europe, but we're still fighting, and I hope we can get a win and a top 10 finish. We want to bounce back after last week, and that's the main thing. A top 10 finish would mean 3 top 10 finishes in his 4 years at West Ham. I went through a bit of a retrospective view at lunchtime, looking at some facts and figures. Go back and check that out, particularly in terms of his spending habits, which people obviously have spoken about quite a bit. Obviously, this was the first press conference after the announcement of, the fact that West Ham weren't renewing his contract. They were going to separate ways, and asking if he was happy with the departure, and seemed quite jovial, really. He says, I'm really comfortable with the situation. I've talked about my family. I think it's the right decision for all parties. We'll go our separate ways after a really successful period. First, I'll have a break. Last year, there wasn't much of a break after the Europa Conference League final. I strive to work my hardest, and I've done that here. So I'm going to have a break. I'm going to work during the Euros. We know, David, because you've actually already announced your job before you finished this other job. It's not very professional, is it? Anyway, and I'm going to work for the Euros, and I'm going to continue looking forward to working in football. Asked about his time at West Ham, how he felt that when stopping the club getting relegated the second time was difficult, and the progress we've done since has been brilliant. I think we've done a really good job. We've built the club, and there's stability there, and that's sort of what we sort of came to our opinion on the show this afternoon, rather, at lunchtime live. It was, a level of stability now. If we finish a top 10, 3 out of 4 years has been a top 10 finish. Granted, the football hasn't been exciting, but I think as a club, we're now in a situation where we have a recruitment team. We've got a set up in Brazil. We've got set up in, a partnership in Austria as well now. We've got an analytics department. We've got stuff like that. Granted, the squad isn't as good. I think the first team's probably better, but that's subjective, really. Obviously, there's been lots of plaudits, people talking about, other managers talking about, in particular in the press conferences this weekend, because of, the fact he is quite an established Premier League manager, the oldest now. Yeah, he is now because Roy was the second. He was the second when Roy was in charge. Oldest Premier League manager. He was asked, he said, I've managed a lot of games in the Premier League, so that's something to be proud of. It means people have thought you're good enough to do a job. I hope now I can give back to other managers. I'm keen on coaching younger managers, and I'm excited for the future. And that was it. And that was the David Moyes press conference. I said the penultimate one. Obviously, next week will be the final one, as these things tend to happen. But keep up with needsonbrand.com. If this is obviously the publicised press conference, there'll be the embargo stuff, which no doubt there'll be more questions about that, more questions about the transition, that type of thing. And that will come out later on tonight, so keep an eye on that channel. And all that good stuff. So take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. Keep the faith, my friends. And I'll see you tomorrow for match day morning outside London Stadium. I think about 10 o'clock tonight. 10 o'clock tomorrow, so I might have a little kit beforehand and a little lem slip or two. Much love. Bye-bye.